Hi, everyone. Welcome to our session. I am Dave Cohen. I'm a group product manager in the SharePoint Experiences team, and I lead product for SharePoint sites, pages, and news.
And good morning, everybody. I'm Denise Trebona. I'm the design director for the SharePoint design team.
All right, so today we're going to talk to you about some trends and insights around the intranet, where the intranet is going, especially in this new era of AI. A lot of sea changes happening. We'll talk about compelling content, how to make the content on your intranet as engaging as possible for your audience. Simpler authoring, how to make it so that that compelling content does not take 62 clicks to create. And deeper engagement, how to get your content where your audience is and get them engaging on it. And then finally, the era of AI. We can't really have a talk at this conference without recognizing the impact that AI is going to have, and the intranet is no exception. And finally, we'll go through a summary and show you our roadmap. So starting off with trends and insights, your AI-ready intranet is the digital representation of organization. Just like you have physical buildings, campus, signage, etc. Your intranet is the digital representation of your organization to your employees. It needs to connect them to your identity, your mission, and give them the key information that they need to do their best work. And, it needs to look really, really great. Design standards on the internet have really risen in the last decade or so. If you look across the web, back when we modernized SharePoint in 2017, we were inspired by how easy it was on the internet at large for someone with no technical expertise, like a baker or someone, to go and create a beautiful looking website, right? That's not their job. It's not their business to create websites, but they could easily do it with the tools available to them. And it quickly set the expectation that was available to information workers. People in small, medium, large businesses would have the same internal tools to create really compelling content. And over time, over the last 5-7 years, the bar for design on the internet at large has really gone up. You've seen an increased use in engaging typography, use of really flexible page layout technology. Motion is being brought into pages as a way of engaging audiences. And the type of content shown on the web is changing as well. Video is a much more prominent role. TikTok, for example, didn't exist 10 years ago. Or maybe it did and I just wasn't aware. But video tools, creation, editing, hosting, like all of that is getting easier to do. And so video itself is becoming a much more prominent content type. Your web content is more than just the content on the page. It's also about the Chrome around the page and how that represents a coherent story about the content, who the content is from, who's authored it, what organization is it a part of. And so the expectations that content is represented not just on the web, but on any endpoint, coherently is really, really important. Simple authoring, creation tools today are democratized. I really love to use Canva, for example, as an example. Canva turns anyone into a designer in minutes, right? I give the best digital holiday gifts. I just go on Canva and print out great looking gift cards. And I look like a professional doing it because that's a tool that makes it easy for me. Anyone can be a creator these days, and that was just one example, and the intranet is no exception to that. Anyone creating content on the intranet is a creator, and they need really simple tools to use. They need to be approachable and intuitive. They can't require extensive training to get the most out of. They also need to be flexible and powerful. If you have a vision in your mind about what you want to create, you need to be able to execute on that vision. And finally, it needs to be fun, because if it's not fun, you're going to find a different tool that is fun. And so it's really important that the tool itself is a pleasure to use. And finally, deeper engagement. What use is content on the intranet if people can't find it, if they can't get to it? if it's not in the flow of their everyday work. It is hard to get people out of their day-to-day and into a site, for example, to go and view content. And so the content on the intranet today needs to go find people where they are. Intranets are also presenting more as apps. You see this in Viva Connections. Maybe you don't sit at a computer all day, or you have frontline workers. They use apps. The intranet also needs to present itself as an app, and that content needs to show up there. And there's a big social engagement. We're in a more hybrid and remote world than we've ever been before. And so the importance of that social connection is more critical than ever before. And so the intranet needs to be able to have a social element to it where people can connect and react and engage with one another. And then finally, the era of AI, right? We really break AI down into 3 pillars. Knowledge, that is finding information more easily, finding insights either across the intranet or within content and documents itself. Action. If you saw the general session yesterday, you would have seen Lincoln Damaris fill out metadata from a document into different columns in OneDrive using AI. That's AI taking action for him. That's a business process. And then finally, AI will have an impact on creation. You know, the blank screen problem is going to become less and less of a problem because it'll be much easier to get started creating content using generative AI. With that, I'm going to transition to Denise and compelling content, but I just want to give a quick shout out. Ever since we've been on this journey to modernize SharePoint, what you're about to see is by far the biggest visual update that SharePoint's ever seen in its history. Denise has built and leads the design team responsible for this work, and so I just want to recognize her and her team here for that incredible work. So, Denise.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you all. Yeah, thank you for that, and hats off because there's several members of the team here this morning, so hats off to them. All right, let's dig into it, compelling content. So many of the elements that are going to make your content more compelling are showcased in this page here, and we're going to walk through all of them in the course of this talk, but I want to start with typography and color, which are front and center in this page, and Dave mentioned a couple minutes ago. They're both really important in your brand expression. So your organization's choice of font and color can speak to your brand's values, they can speak to certain audiences, they can speak to represent certain industries, and overall they really create that impactful and memorable visual experience for your readers. So starting with fonts in terms of our capabilities, this spring we are adding several new capabilities in this area. For starters, we're offering more default font choices for sites, more than the single one we offer right now, though I love Sago. And then organizations are going to have the ability to bring their own font families into their SharePoint sites. Now, in addition, we're adding the ability to have new color themes. They will feature more colors than you can use right now. They will also feature more ways to apply those colors in your sites and pages. And both of those capabilities will be able to be managed in our new brand center. And that means that you will not have to manage your custom themes through PowerShell anymore, much as we all love PowerShell. Yeah, yes. Thank you. So, you know, with color and typography being really foundational, we know customers want those to be the guardrails that authors operate inside of. We will apply font and color in such a way that authors then get to build on those capabilities, staying within a font family, staying within a color palette, but will bring great new capabilities to authors as well. And one example of that that's kind of current is how large you can make a font on a page. We will increase that to 120 pixels, which is 2 times the size it is now, so that authors can have that creativity to really make their typography very, very impactful. But again, they're staying within the guardrails set by the company in terms of the brand expression. Okay, It's a lot in that one. So moving forward, capturing a reader's attention and setting the tone is really job one for any web page. Having that strong focal point at the top of the page is a great way to accomplish this. And this top of the page design element, whatever it is, can really effectively highlight your key messages. They can guide your user's journey throughout your content and increase their engagement overall. So we're excited to be launching new capabilities, as you can see here in the Hero web part. This very display-focused web part will have a variety of new creative layouts, including the single and multiple panes. Also, video will be able to be featured here. And then this is the new animated carousel that we're showing here. And we're working on ways to enable more creativity so that authors may also be able to create designs of their own to feature here in the future, which we're also very excited about. I will note one thing that you don't see on this page, which is the standard title region. So we heard a lot of feedback from you, our customers, that this did create some constraints. And so we're making the title region a flexible web part. You can still have it if you want it or you need it, but you will have the option of Hero and also a new banner web part as well at the top of the page. So lots more flexibility here overall. And I heard some clapping in the middle, and if you want to clap now, you can. Thank you. Yeah, we are really excited about this. We're really going to open up the top of the page. All right, so also talking more about color, that is a very important design element. It really enhances the reader's experience, really helps you set a mood or a tone, and really complements and enriches your content overall. So when this is thoughtfully done, it can really create a more immersive environment, as you can see from the examples here. It can more strongly reinforce and represent the brand identity piece I was just talking about, and also just overall add to that visual appeal and memorability of your site or page. So we're adding many new capabilities in section backgrounds. This is a very rich area for visual expression. Currently, in case you were not familiar, I will recap. The choice of your background colors for a section are basically the light and dark version of your primary color or a shade of gray. So very soon you're going to have many solid color choices, not just that limited range. There's also going to be gradients, as you saw here, and also you can have curated images. You can even upload your own image. Sorry, spoiler. Dave's going to show that later. Authors are not going to have to worry about accessibility here because, as you saw in this example, we will automatically change the text color to be accessible based on what the background is. So we're ensuring accessibility, and the author, can be creative and not have to worry about that. All right. Another way we're making pages richer and more compelling is via animation and motion, which you saw in the opening page. And we're going to include smooth, sophisticated, very performant content transitions. We'll not slow anything down. But we're also going to provide ways for you to make your content shine with some motion. And so you can see here, we'll be bringing motion into section backgrounds as another place where you can feature your assets, imbue some of the brand identity, and overall make these pages richer and more interesting. And next, we've occasionally heard the feedback that our pages are a little boxy. I love a good right angle, it's true, but we're looking at adding more variety of shapes into the page, and we'll do this in a couple ways. And this will, again, increase the visual interest and energy you can get in pages. And so here you can see a new feature that we're in progress on. We're calling it section background shapes. And that's going to give authors more options for crafting interesting page layouts, interesting transitions between things, and overall get away from some of the more rectangular look pages have now. We're really excited about this one. It really does make the page look great. All right, continuing that theme of using shapes with images can enhance your reader's experience by really breaking up that standard layout and giving a more creative, dynamic quality to your design. Unique shapes here can draw attention to important content They can create a more engaging visual narrative overall and also help you organize the information in a more aesthetically pleasing way. So these shapes can also be combined with text overlays for more interesting effects and uses. You can use them as entry points, links into other pages, etc. There's a lot of creativity you can have with this. This is a really fun one. This is actually already released. This came out last fall. We added this ability to transform images into shapes in our advanced image editing tool that we released. So hopefully people have been playing around with this one a little bit. We're launching with this short set of 6 shapes, but we're working on making them even more powerful by using them with design ideas and flexible layouts, which we will talk about shortly in the next section. But it's great because we can leverage them in all of our more AI-driven design tools coming up. So it's a great design tool overall. Okay, earlier, Dave noted that video is becoming more and more essential for engaging readers. Here we're showcasing the new stream web part. It's a great way to showcase your video content inside the page. So there's a range of layout choices, as we just saw. There's one-up, grid, and theater views. All of those will elevate your video content to really a top-tier experience in your SharePoint page. And this new stream web part has playlist support, chapter support, and transcripts. So all of the best in intelligent video features from the Microsoft Stream team integrated into SharePoint. And the good news is this is also available now. We will feature these layouts in new video optimized templates, which are available from SharePoint and also from directly inside Microsoft Stream, which is a really nice way to be able to use them. So you can easily create a video-rich page. You can be right there in Stream on your team meeting or town hall meeting and turn that into a beautiful and complete summary page with additional rich information that you would want to have with that video. It's really absolutely excellent video capabilities coming. So that's a lot. That's a lot in how to make your content compelling. And now you probably want to see how this all works. We're keeping it simple and easy to use, even as we get really robust with it. And I will turn it over to Dave to talk about authoring, simpler authoring.
Thank you. Thanks, Denise. I have to say that this may be the best looking deck I've ever presented in my career. Like the visual updates here are stunning, and so it's just really, really exciting. So simpler authoring. You know, Jeff Tieper in a review challenged us to say, your design vision is great, but it can't take 62 clicks to get there. Like it cannot, right? And so we kind of got into this mantra of 5 clicks to wow. And we really internalized that. You know, people that create SharePoint pages today, some of them, it's their job, right? But how many people in the room, creating SharePoint pages is not the core output of your job. It happens adjacent to your job. It's a tool that you use to get your job done. Hands? Right. The less time you have to spend learning the tool, the more impactful you will be in your job. And so that's why simplifying authoring, making it approachable, intuitive is so, so important, and why we're spending so much time on it. So the first place that I want to talk about is custom fonts, right? If you look at this image, there's a lot of text on it, right? There is the text in the site header. There is the text in the site navigation. There's the text in the rich text editor web part. And then there's text in a host of other web parts, right? And so updating the font can seem a little daunting, except what we've done is we're making it as easy as going into the change the look panel and clicking on the font there. You'll get an option of a number of fonts that we ship out of the box to choose from. You can preview it right there. You can save it. And what it does is it changes the font on the entire site, right? And so all the web parts, the rich text areas, the header, and the navigation will all get that new font. And if you want a font that's different than what we provide, you can upload your own font packages and craft that font just to be what you need for your brand and make that available to all the sites in your intranet. So next, we have what we're calling the content pane. So this looks a little different than the toolbox that you see today in the product. So the toolbox, you have to hover over the page and you see a plus icon, and you click it and then the toolbox opens. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to give you a space for the page content to sit alongside you to make it as easy as possible for you to drag that content just right there onto the canvas. We've supported drag and drop in the SharePoint canvas for quite a while. And this really takes advantage of that. It makes it easy for you to put the content that you need on the page quickly and easily, always accessible right there. Now, that brings up a really interesting question. I've got a lot of content on my page now, but how do I make it look good? One of Denise's design managers, Wendy, is sitting right here towards the front. I ask Wendy all the time for help in making my pages look good. All the time. And I think she's a little sick of it. And so we kind of built a feature to make that request go away, and that is design ideas. So if you're familiar with Designer and PowerPoint, it's much the same idea. It takes the content that you have in a section, and it gives you different layout options for that content. Now, you might not be familiar with all the features that we have in authoring pages, like section backgrounds, which I'll get to in a second. But design ideas will take all of those features and relay out your content and give you some inspiration for how it could look, including breaking up the text, moving the images around, adding image shapes, and like I said, adding those section backgrounds. And as we add more features to the authoring surface, those features will show up in design ideas automatically. And so you'll always be getting suggestions that feature the best of what's possible in pages. So I mentioned section backgrounds. It's as easy as selecting the section that you want to edit, and you'll see 16 different options out of the box for adding backgrounds to your page sections. And this is available now. Coming soon is the ability to upload any image you want to be the background image for a section. You can change the overlay color. You can change the opacity of that overlay, as you see in the video. And you even get our image editing tools in our advanced image editor to crop and shape and resize that image however you need. And you can also set the focal point. So if there's a specific design element in that background that you want to stay in the viewport, especially on different form factors like mobile, you can set that focal point right there. Now, Denise talked about image shapes. Back in 2017, our design language for SharePoint pages was a little square, right? Which I looked up the definition of, and that was traditional and boring, and they weren't, right?
It's clean.
It was
modern.
clean. Denise likes a good right angle, but we all grow, and to really break up the geometry of the page, we needed to give you really easy tools for adding curvature and just breaking up pages in different ways, because your readers need that, right? They need the page to have a differentiated look and feel. And so image shapes is one of the best ways that we can do that. And it's as easy as going to the toolbar for a given image, and you'll see a drop-down of different shapes that you can just apply and crop the image right there. It's not an advanced capability. It's right there in the toolbar. It's easy to do. It's not a permanent change. You can switch between different shapes if you want to. We're shipping a number of shapes out of the box, and this really helps you break up the page, and I think you'll see later on with it combined with something like a flexible layout really gives you this creative canvas to execute on a vision you might have for your page. All right, this is my absolute favorite slide in the whole deck. Today in SharePoint, you have 3 columns in your pages, right? Single, 2, or 3. And you can lay out your content along those 3 columns. And we've heard time and time again, righteously, that you want the flexibility to lay out your content wherever you want on the page. So we're introducing a new section type called a flexible section, where we give you the full 12-column grid, and you can drag and drop your content anywhere in that section. Thank you. That content will resize however you want. It will reflow automatically on mobile, and I'll get to that in a second for how it does that. You'll have snap points, so you saw as the content was being dragged that there were little lines there. So we'll provide smart, magnetic anchors so you can line up your content. You won't get, like oddly misaligned content. Like we will make sure that your content looks great in that section and give you the flexibility to lay it out however you need. And I mentioned mobile reflow because when we first started doing this, one of the first questions we got was, how will you reflow content that free form, on mobile? And we're actually going to give you two different options for mobile reflow, which is different than we've done in the past. So one option is where we prioritize content that's aligned horizontally on the page. So we will look at content that is sitting next to each other, left to right or right to left, and we'll try to keep content together when it's sitting next to another piece of content. Or the other option is to prioritize vertically aligned content, where you tell us basically that, hey, my content is really like in vertical couplings, and I want you to keep those things together when you're reflowing into different form factors. And so it really gives you much more flexibility than you have today in both laying out your content and how it shows up on different endpoints. How many people check in and check out pages today? Right? Yes, you must, right? Because that's just how pages work. Except not anymore, right? Rolling out, like next month probably, is co-authoring for SharePoint pages. This is probably the biggest change to authoring in SharePoint that we've made, right? You can have multiple authors authoring content within the same section at the same time. You can see each other's changes. And this really builds on the page sharing functionality that we launched last year, where we made it easy to share a page with another, with a coworker, right? You just grab a link and you send them a link. And now when they come into the page and they have edit rights, they can just start editing immediately. And you can see where they are. We have presence indicators. You can see who's on the page. And so really the expectations that you have for co-authoring in other apps in M365 comes to SharePoint pages. And in addition to that, what's on our roadmap now is the ability to leave comments within a page for your co-authors and react to those comments so that you can really have a truly collaborative authoring experience. Thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about SharePoint Start. SharePoint Start is a new experience that we're launching that is all about you and your personal pages, which is an entirely new concept for SharePoint. SharePoint Start lets you create a page from a template without the overhead of creating a site first, right? So if you have a need where you just need to send a newsletter or a project update, but you don't have a site, then it sits in, right? You don't have that container that you would go to and create it from there. Maybe you do, and there's a lot of good governance that would say that you should go to a site, but that's not always the case. We want to reduce the barrier to creation and give everyone the ability to create their own personal pages, just like OneDrive is for your personal files. The new SharePoint Start will be for your personal pages, and you have the full capability of authoring pages here as you do in a site, and you can even send them via email. So now I want to talk about deeper engagement. We've talked about compelling content and then simpler authoring of that content. And so now how do you get your audience to engage in that content? And we've really put a lot of effort into this because, like I said earlier, your content on the internet needs to break out of just the site and go to people where they are in the flow of their work. And so last year, we launched a new feature called News in Outlook, which is a way of authoring a news post and sending it as a fully rendered SharePoint page in email. It is now the default experience for all news. It used to be that you had to choose a specific template to get this capability, but now all news posts are email ready. The analytics that you get back on that page include who's viewed it in Outlook. We actually do pipe through the analytics, and this works for OA and the Outlook Rich client. So you never miss a signal on who's engaging with your content, and you can see where they're engaging with it from. And so this is really optimized for viewing news content across any device. And so here you can see one of our new page templates. So all of these page templates are now email ready. They're designed specifically to look great in email. And so that when they reflow your content, and the content that's likely to be sent as email, maybe it's a newsletter, maybe it's a project update, like it's a point in time communication. These are specific templates meant to look great across a variety of email endpoints. We also have released the ability to pin pages in Teams. This isn't fairly new, but some of you may be unaware that when you pin a page in Teams, you can edit that page right from Teams. You have the full authoring capability of SharePoint right from that Teams app. And so that lets you, you and your audience stay in the Teams app if that is where you choose to work. And it lets you bring that content to them and get it into the flow of their work. And one really great example of this is in the EDU space. We built a new class home as a default experience for all classrooms. And so in the classroom setting, it's really hard for students to go from Teams out to a web page. And so now that they don't need to, they have the class homepage right there in the Teams app. And it's a really coherent, integrated experience. Viva Connections. So Viva Connections on the desktop is a home site. It's built on SharePoint pages. It's the top of your intranet. It's the branded app for your organization. It features tools and apps for quick actions and cohesive one-stop experience for being an employee at a place. Like that is your employee experience app. And news content, especially in the Viva Connections feed, really drives engaging people in that app. It's personalized into the individual, so if you have audience-targeted news, that will be targeted in that Viva Connections feed. And the dashboard itself is also personalized. Viva Engage, so you can send SharePoint news posts and pages to Viva Engage, and you'll get a rich preview of that content. And in Viva Engage, you can drive employee conversation and reactions around that content. So again, we're focused on creating content easier, simpler, more beautiful, and getting it to the places in your intranet where people are and where they can engage with it. And then our newest tool for generating engagement is Viva Amplify. So this is a new tool for corporate communicators that's focused around driving campaigns in your intranet. Viva Amplify is built on SharePoint pages, and so it has a very familiar and intuitive authoring experience. It gets all the goodness that we just showed for SharePoint pages, custom fonts, section backgrounds, co-authoring, all of that flows right into Viva Amplify because it's built on the Pages platform. And it's really a tool for helping corporate communicators drive the most important messages throughout their organizations. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Denise to talk about the era of AI.
Thanks, Dave. All right, so we're all here, talking a lot about AI. I lost my mouse pointer. We're all talking a lot about AI this week in a variety of ways. We're going to talk a little bit about content, your content, and how your content grounds AI. First, before we talk about all our evolving product capabilities, we are going to talk about trust. So it's really important for us to repeat time and again, the Microsoft Cloud runs on trust. Responsible AI is at the core of what we do with all our AI work. And the deployment and development of all of our AI must be guided by the creation of this ethical framework. And so you can see our principles here on the slide. I won't read them all to you. But we are really working to set the standard for the industry. We have 3 promises. Your data is your data. We know that your SharePoint content is the lifeblood of your organization and it is your intellectual property. Your data is not used to train. Only your organization benefits from your data in your business process. And third, our data protection and security policies are the best and most capable in the industry. And there are a lot of great sessions about that this week as well from our colleague, Seshamani and team. So I encourage you to check those out. Okay, with that, moving forward into some great uses of your content. SharePoint does ground your content for AI across M365. And so, you can see sometimes like general AI alone is not enough. Generated content can be a bit generic. It can lack character. Copilot will take that power of large language models that it has and plus your organization's content to make knowledge more specific, more relevant, and more up to date. And so an example here might explain this best. So here you can see how Copilot will use the sites and pages that you create to inform people's answers. So this is a real life example from our team. I asked Copilot about our team's culture, and you can see it returns an in-depth and informed answer that explains our approach to culture, and it references several of our employee resource groups and sites. And all of the information in this answer is grounded in the content it found on our team sites and pages. So this makes this incredibly useful and makes your content incredibly important. So I didn't have to do anything special to get the answer I just showed. That was a very simple query from the top of M365. I just asked Copilot, it just worked. But there are ways to make interactions with Copilot more specific if you want to. So say you have a specific scenario, you want to ensure certain questions are being answered with specific content. Copilot Studio, you can do exactly that in Copilot Studio. You can customize Copilot and point it to specific SharePoint sites. That's what's highlighted here in the screenshot, and it will use that content to ground its answers in. So you can imagine, for example, easily ensuring answers about some specific aspect of your business are grounded in the right content from your authoritative sites. And that's just one of the things you can do with Copilot Studio. You can do a lot with Copilot Studio, but we're talking specifically about how you can use sites and pages. So I encourage you to check out Copilot Studio. It is at the aka.ms Copilot Studio link here. Really fantastic amount of capabilities in there. Okay, so also, as Dave just talked about Viva Connections, you can access Copilot in Viva Connections. And because Viva Connections kind of goes everywhere, it's very app-like, it's accessible on Teams, in Teams, on phones, all your devices. It means people can access those Copilots from wherever they are. So in the dashboard, you can see here is a little red highlight around this square. That is a Copilot agent or bot brought right into Viva Connections for easy accessibility. So people can get help where they need it, when they need it. And you can have multiple of these to serve however many tasks you need in Viva Connections. All right, now jumping back into SharePoint. So Copilot for SharePoint Pages. Copilot for SharePoint Pages, this is fantastic new work. As we talked about at the beginning, we can use AI to transform your web authoring experience as well as use your content to inform the AI. It's kind of a very complete circle. And so as we begin here, I'll just show a video, starting from the SharePoint start page. You've chosen a template that you want to work with here, and then you're able to adjust the prompts here, kind of a fill in the blank style to give you some guidance. And then you tell the AI what you would like to do, what sections you would like, what content you would like to inform this page. And then we can see from there that Copilot takes a lot of the great new capabilities that Dave and I have been talking about and is able to create this rich page for you as a starting base. You can adjust it and tweak it from here. But this is saving hours of work to put this page together and give you an amazing place to work from. And of course, you can also use Copilot writing and editing skills inside the page to make the content itself, if you want to rewrite it or adjust it, tone, formality, or otherwise, you're going to be able to do that in the page as well. And so we're very excited about this. This really does take the best of all the new capabilities of SharePoint and superpower it with AI and make your web authoring experience faster, more beautiful, and very up to date in terms of taking advantage of all the new capabilities. So not only is it not 62 clicks, it's maybe not even 5 clicks to get to that page. So super, super fast. Okay, so with that, we're getting close to wrapping up and getting to the roadmap slide, which I know everybody's always excited to see. But I'll just summarize our thoughts about the intranet of tomorrow. So the intranet of tomorrow really is going to require ever more compelling content. Aesthetically, visually, video, all of the pieces that we talked about as what creates engaging, modern industry web standard content. It also requires that power, simplicity, and flexibility in your authoring tools. We really do want it to be fast and easy, even as we add a lot of the rich and robust capability. We don't want to bring complexity to you as the author. And of course, we want to drive engagement. That's why you write this content, and meet employees wherever they are. As Dave showcased, we can reach people in a variety of endpoints. SharePoint's going to help you get the word out. And then finally, AI plays that role in helping you create the content faster, better, more beautifully. And then in turn, your content really grounds the AI that Copilot uses. All right, with that,
Let's get to the roadmap.
we'll get to the roadmap. Do have a couple more things after the roadmap. If anybody hasn't gotten this picture already.
This may be the densest roadmap slide I think we've ever shown for SharePoint sites and pages.
I was thinking that too. I was
Yeah.
like, I remember a time when the roadmap slide
Yeah.
had far fewer rows. Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and it's exciting. It's exciting stuff. So
Yeah. And there's a solid amount of stuff that's already out, things that are coming really soon, and a lot that's coming by the end of the year.
Yep.
So, huge year. Okay. One more thing I did want to share and showcase is a new SharePoint Web UI kit. It's been out for a few months, but it's still relatively new. So we did hear a lot of feedback from folks wanting to be able to put together mock-up SharePoint pages without necessarily having to be in SharePoint to do it. There's a lot of reasons for that. Sometimes people don't have access to the site that they're being asked to envision, etc. Sometimes people just really want to dig into the details of all that is available in terms of layout options and other things with pages and web parts. So we have created a SharePoint Web UI kit. There's the link, aka.mssp Web UI kit. And this really will help you down to the level of the pages themselves, the web parts, and the components that make them up as well. So urge you to check this out or bring it home to the designers in your team if you have folks who work in Figma on the regular. So with that, Dave and I would love to get to your feedback. I will highlight, if you want to know more about the branding capabilities, check out the Thursday 11 a.m. session with Kathy on branding SharePoint sites and also getting into branding for Clipchamp videos, team meetings, and more. And lastly, you can reach out to me and Dave on LinkedIn. And with that, we are right on time to take questions.
we are.
We're told to leave some time for those.
So what's going to be the permission management around that SharePoint Start portal? Like anybody can create an email page out to everybody in the company, or is there going to be some governance around that?
Yeah, so the question was, is there any governance around the new SharePoint Start in terms of sending pages out as email? And it really just uses email to send it from that person's mailbox. So whatever governance they have in terms of who they can send email to is what they'll be able to send those pages to. So same governance there. Saw that hand, then I'll work my way back.
It's related to what she asked about. Our communications team is used to sending out newsletters from a shared mailbox with the promote feature or whatever the send feature, it only gives you the option to put a subject and the to line, not enable the from line, so that they can check that shared mailbox. What's the solution for this?
So the question was, when you send a page or news post by mail or by email, you can't change who it is sent from. This has to be one of the top pieces of feedback I've gotten at this conference about this feature. And so we hear you. Top of mind, we don't have any plans right now, but like we're clearly going to go home from this conference and figure out how we can address that. I got the same question in my 8 a.m. session today, so.
And we got it.
That was you, yeah.
And we got it in the research session yesterday.
Yeah. Highly recommend that session if you have a time machine at 8 o'clock this morning. It was great.
For the flexible space, are there limitations on web parts and what can be placed there?
What kind, like, is there any
So,
web part
is
that
there-
can't be placed there? Is that what
are
you're
there
asking?
Web parts that you cannot drop into that space.
Okay, so with the new flexible layout capabilities, the question is, are there any web parts that are going to be not allowed, disallowed in flexible layouts? Which is a great question. We will have to start with bringing in a subset and adding to it over time, but there should not be any that are disallowed.
When it comes to loading custom fonts, what is the licensing requirement? Is it just standard TTF files that can be uploaded? Like what are we looking at?
Yes. So to repeat the question a little bit, this poor gentleman got screamed at by a marketing director when he could not upload a custom font. And yeah, a lot of upset. So this will be good news for your marketing director. So yeah, the standard licensing applies. So you've licensed the font. It is your font. You're responsible for making sure it's licensed for the usage.
Freefonts.com and download something that needs to be like a licensed font, like an Adobe font, something like that, with an actual license attached to it, or is it just a standard TTF file?
It's a standard TTF file.
So if they've got the font, they can upload it.
Yes, but there are roles involved here. There's role-based.
It would be me doing the work. I'm just saying.
Yes.
Somebody comes to me with the font.
Yeah. So sorry, the rest of the question is what can be uploaded and what are the licensing requirements? And so if you're uploading a custom font, you are on point for the licensing of that font. You can upload it. Not anybody in your company can upload custom fonts. It needs to be done by someone who does have some role-based access, like access to the brand center itself, which is not just an open access. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, I had one up here.
With the SharePoint start pages, where are those pages stored if they're not stored on or with the site?
So the question was, in the new SharePoint Start, where are those pages stored? So the new SharePoint Start is basically an app. Its backing storage is the My Site, which is the same backing storage as OneDrive for Business. They're just only presented to you in the new SharePoint Start. They're not accessible anywhere else.
You
Only.
can't get to them through OneDrive. If you want
Nope.
to make updates, is it collaborative if it's in the SharePoint start versus on the site? Is the collaboration?
If you share that page with someone else, then they can come in and collaborate with you on it. You will also be able to move those pages to sites or copy them. I'm going to see if Denise is gone. We'll just keep bouncing.
Yes. Over to you.
Is there a way to have a page at the default page when we open Teams in a channel instead of the post page? If I open a channel, automatically I'm in the post, but I want it to be the page if we want to use it as intranet, for example, stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So this is an inside Teams question of in Teams, you can pin pages. You want to be able to get to the page as a tab. Yeah.
But it won't be the default one. So if they
Correct.
don't know it, they won't go.
Got it. Yeah. So the question is that with pinned pages in Teams, you would like for it to be the default landing spot when people jump into that channel, as opposed to the posts. I'll have to talk to Teams about that. I can have that conversation, but yeah, there's not a way to change your default right now for the channel, so it'll default to posts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
Yeah. No, thank you for the feedback on that. I will take that back to. There's a lot of people here from Teams Design, so yeah. Dave, can I do one more here?
Yeah, you can do
Okay.
it.
So for your news, the news and Outlook
Yes.
feature, you can create events through that. But the last I checked, it's not integrated with the events web part.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Eventify is an Outlook feature. Yeah, like a
Right.
ability to create events via Outlook and manage them there.
Right.
Yes, we actually, I've heard, so the question is, hey, is there going to be an integration between the events web part and the events that you can now create in Outlook? And that's great feedback. That's at least the second time I've heard that question. And yeah, I've heard it from people inside Microsoft as well. So we'll take that feedback. I can't say that there's anything on the roadmap about that right now.
And that news and Outlook feature that we have, I think one of the options is to create an event email.
Mm-hmm.
Is that also included in what you guys are thinking of in the future, integrating that event template or whatever with the web parts?
Integrate. So the question is, are we thinking about integrating the Outlook event email template?
Yeah, like you could create an event through there, because right now it doesn't integrate with the events web part.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so the question is, are we thinking about creating a specific page you could use as the email for your event in concert with the Outlook events feature? Okay. We don't have anything planned around that now, but I will also take that as really good feedback. Definitely kind of a whole category of like, hey, how could we bring those things together? Yeah. Thank you.
Do I get two now?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. All right, you first.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's kind of related to her question about the SharePoint start. It's kind of dual. Is there a way to move the page from like your personal pages to a SharePoint site? And is there any work on the ability to move to or copy to pages from one site collection to another?
Okay, so the question was, in the SharePoint start, can you move or copy pages to a site? And then second part of the question, can you copy or move pages from site to site? To answer the first part, yes, you will be able to move pages from SharePoint start to a site or copy them to a site. That not all of that will be there right when it launches, but it's on the roadmap to do. Copy may come before move, easier problem. And then from site to site, we've gotten that feedback a lot recently, and there is technically an API to do that, and I just have to go elbow the engineering manager to see what the state of it is. It's not an easy problem. We built it, we have it in dog food. It was a lot more complicated than we initially thought, and so it's not concretely on the roadmap, but I really appreciate the feedback because we know that it's needed.
Just another vote to her second point.
Oh, moving pages from sites. Oh yeah, keep the feedback on that coming. The more evidence I get, the easier this is.
My first question she already asked, so we're like on the same page. Do you have any plans to enable recurring events as well with the events?
The question is, do we have any plans to enable recurring events on the web part? We've heard that before. We don't. We don't have it on the roadmap, but you know, we'll take it back and see what we can do.
Same problem.
You have the same problem. Okay.
Yes.
So my team manages our global intranet site, and my teammate and I, we have design background, so all the like limitations that we thought we had, you addressed like almost all of them, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Our company is very we have a free-for-all culture, so basically kind of anyone can go in, create a site, whatever, and so a lot of our teams, before our team came into place, set up all these different sites, and despite how easy it is to like drag and drop stuff, frankly, there's a lot of just ugly looking pages and stuff, and so then they usually come to our team at some point like, hey, can you like help us revamp our site? Now with all these new features that are available, it's almost like, I'm like thinking like, it's great for our team, but for a lot of people out there, it just like might be too much. So are there gonna be ways to like limit certain features or like have like different kind of roles where like maybe someone who's just like kind of managing a small like team site maybe it's like they have to like stick to a template or like, I don't know, just like limiting their roles a little bit? Because I'm just like, it might be like just too much for a lot more people.
Okay. Let me paraphrase the question, which is, hey, that's a lot of great new design capability, which is good, yay. But it may overwhelm some people based on the current results you see on your intranet from other authors. So I would say we're not looking at necessarily locking things down or limiting things. You have the ability to create templates, and basically promote those as like the thing to use, templates from your organization for pages. That is a great way to go for people who, one, they need to be quick and fast, and they are not designers, and that's good on both sides. Like, it's faster for them, and you get results that are a little more reliable. We are looking at sort of keeping the level of complexity really low. We talked about that today with the simpler authoring. And so when there are things that have more advanced options, we're probably, we're looking at making sure that's not the first thing a user is faced with. And so that we keep the highlight on things that they can use easily and look great by default. And it's a little, I don't know, it's a little harder to make it not look good, if that makes sense. Yeah. And we do want to keep the complexity low, because that tends to be where people get into trouble. Yeah, thank you.
All right, we're over time. We're getting the Oscars music, frankly. Like, there's a bunch of people waiting for us to leave. Thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed the session.
Thank you all.